Hey guys, Dave here. Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to the series of videos where I am taking time to dive a little bit more into one of my favorite games, which is Shadows of Brimstone. So the first video I talked about fleshing out the Caverns of Cinder Otherworld, which that particular Otherworld had the most potential to add a lot of different things, and in my opinion is one of the ones that came with the least amount of stuff in the box, so it was going to need to have variety right out of the gate. But what I wanted to do was spend some time looking at our core sets, and there are a lot of things that we can do to supplement these or flesh them out a little bit, if you will. And in particular, today's video, I'm going to be talking about things that will supplement the mine portion of either of these core sets. So it's going to cover both. In the separate videos, I will be talking about the other worlds, for example, the Targa Plateau and City of the Ancients, and the Swamps of Jargono for the Swamps of Death. But in particular, this stuff I'm going to be talking about, I have some of the items that I will talk about, and there's other ones that I don't have yet. I have intentions of getting them over time, and but I will talk about what they are going to add, and I'll rattle off the names and stuff. So if you want to get a pen and paper to write those things down, you can, or you can actually look them up. I'm sure the information is out there. But anyways, I just wanted to kind of put it all into one video, and so we're going to get started talking about our core sets. Okay, the first thing that I wanted to talk about was something that I was doing for my own sets, and that was I did an upgrade of one of the components that comes in the game. So the game comes with small red and white dice that you can use for rolling for your different results of combat and your checks and everything, and I went ahead and I have upgraded my dice. I just keep these off to the side because I can use them for other things, but these are Cheswick 16mm dice. I went with the speckled Arctic camo, so you can see it has like a little bit of this grit on the side for the white dice, and I also then have the speckled silver volcano for the red dice, and you can see it has like a red and black with silver pips. So these actually look really cool. I will use these on occasion when I'm playing, especially because they're a little bit bigger and it's easier to see around the table for the results of the die rolls. So I just wanted to talk about that. Now let's jump in. So the City of the Ancients is the one core box that I have done some things with, and the first thing that I did was I got the alternate gender hero pack. So this is the paperwork for it, and what it does is it will give you the alternate gender sculpts for each of the four characters. So we have the Bandita, we have the U.S. Marshal, and we have the Gunslinger, and then we have the Piano Player. Now the Piano Player is the alternate gender for the Saloon Girl, and so I really wanted to have this particular sculpt because I plan on using him in a future adventure, and he looks distinctly different than the Saloon Girl. The other sculpts all look rather similar. I have them all in a bag. Let me just pull out the Saloon Girl and the Piano Player just so you can see the distinct difference between those two, and I'll show you comparisons of the other ones then. So here we have the Saloon Girl on the right, and we have the Piano Player on the left. They both have a similar gun pose, but they look a lot different. When you look at a character like the Bandito, and I actually built my Bandito to have both of his guns, so he's not holding the dynamite. And the Bandita comes you just clip her and glue her onto the base. She looks really similar in terms of her pose. So they both have their guns up. She just happens to have a dress on. He's got more of his leather vest and pants. So anyways, but they're really, really neat. If you happen to have an older edition, like if you don't have the revised edition, you can basically get the updated stats on their cards, because on the back sides of all of the character cards, it has both. So there's like the male on one side, the female on the other. And you will actually get all of the stats with the alternate gender photo on there. And then you will get their upgrade charts on the backs of each of them. So you have an extra set that you can use while you are playing. So that was the one thing that I had done in particular for City of the Ancients. I do want to get the one for the Swamps of Death, because I want the nun, which is the alternate gender for the preacher, but it's currently out of stock. So that's what I've done for in terms of the characters, but it's really neat to add some variety of how they look. And then the other thing that you can do is add additional characters to either of the core sets. I have 3 characters so far. I have the Prospector, I have the Jargono Native, and I have the Cowboy. And they have made an appearance in a playthrough series. So if you recall or may have seen them, we have Juva, which is the Jargono Native, we have Ezra the Prospector, and we have Branson the Cowboy. And they had quite an interesting adventure to start off with, and they have future adventures down the road. So you're going to want to stay tuned to the channel to be able to see what happens to them. We'll be able to see how characters level up and how things develop in this particular game. So those are some of the things that you can add. The characters have a little bit more of a cost to them. They're, depending upon where you buy them, they range in price anywhere from $15 to like over $20. And the alternate gender packs are roughly $25 to $30 per thing. So those are probably the most expensive things that we can do per item to start supplementing this particular game. But there is already a lot of variety that is in here, but I wanted to start talking about things that we can add that are going to further give us more variety, and I wanted to talk about some things that are going to give you the most bang for your buck and getting the most out of just our core sets. So the first thing that I wanted to talk about was continuing on with our characters, and this is one of the things that we can add right from the beginning of the game. So as you create your character, one of the things that you're going to do is receive a personal item, and the personal items are great because they develop you can develop a backstory of your character. One of the things about Shadows of Brimstone is that it is like an RPG. And as the game plays and you're going through a campaign and different things are happening, you have this narrative, and then it just lends to, okay, what's the history of this character? Where did it come from? What are things from its past? So one of the items and one of the upgrades that they have is we have the Old West Personal Items Pack number 1. So in the game, there's already some personal items that are in there. When you use this, there's 15 more personal items that can be added. And what you will do, and it even says right in here that you will draw 2, when adding this supplement, your hero may draw 2 and choose one to keep for their personal items. And it also has a list of all the items that are in there. So let's take a look at a couple of these that might be interesting. So we have Weathered Newspaper is going to give you +1 lore, and whenever the hero posse marker moves onto a blood spatter or growing dread space in the depth track, you may recover 1 grit. So you get some really neat things like that. We have Legacy Bullets. Once per adventure, add the peril die damage to one of your gun hits. There is a specific gun in here, which I'm going to go back to this. I think it's your father's old pistol. And here it is, father's pistol. And the neat thing is, free attack once per adventure use. So it's basically a 1 shot. You got a range of 6. But this is neat. You may use this item regardless of any hero class restrictions, because there are some characters that can't use guns, like the nun or the preacher. They can't use guns. Well, he can use his father's pistol 1 time. And also, because it's not light, it doesn't really specifically say light, that The Saloon Girl should be able to use this also. So kind of a neat item that you can have that way. We also have, here you have a Bloodstained Book, +2 health, and then once per adventure force will hold back the darkness roll to be re-rolled. That could be pretty crucial, especially as the game is ramping up in difficulty or you're on the verge of losing. It could be a make or break situation for you. But some of those items will lend into your backstory. Like, how did you get that old bloody book? How did you come across, like, your father's pistol? Did he give it to you as he was, as he was dying in a saloon fight? Or was he just dying of old age and wanted to carry on his legacy? So different things that you can do to, give your characters a little bit more depth, and so it's gonna make the game a little bit richer that way. So that was like the biggest. That was like one of the really, really cheap things you can start off with doing, is getting the personal items pack number 1. The next thing that you can do to further supplement the game, and if you've been playing this for a little bit and you want to start adding a variety or a little bit more difficulty in the game, there are a few items that we can use. So the first thing is there are these enemy trait packs, and there are currently 4 of them that are out there. 3 of them are in particular made for the 2 core sets, both Swamps of Death and City of the Ancients. I have packs 2 and 3. The pack number 1 takes care of the Goliath and the Harbinger, and then also the spiders. And then pack number 3, which is the one I have in my hand, this is particular for the City of Ancients, takes care of our Stranglers, and we also have the Night Terrors, and we have the Tentacles. And how this works is if you want to add some variety without having to add new enemy packs or anything like that, is you can get these enemy trait packs, and when you encounter them, you can choose to, whenever you use them, you can roll a d6, and on the roll of 4 plus, you draw a random trait card, and then you apply that to them. So these all have backs on them, where this is like, here's your Night Terror traits. You have your Strangler traits, and what you'll do is you'll randomly draw one. So let's say, for example, we encounter a Strangler, and this one here is Feasting on Flesh. So these particular Stranglers have double their base health, and with Whipping Tentacles and Quivering Jaws, Stranglers also have double their base combat. So now you've just made them a little bit harder, but they also are going to reward you with additional XP as you're playing them. So that's just an interesting way for you to add a little bit more difficulty, a little bit more variety to your core set. And enemy trait pack number 2 is for the Swamps of Death, and it has stuff for your Hellbats, and we have stuff for the Hungry Dead, and we also have stuff for the Slashers, and it has additional reference cards for additional things that may be happening. The Zombie Bite, and we also have for our markers, and then also talks about, it's a reference card for the Assault keyword. So these are some interesting things that you can use to add variety, difficulty, and different things very easily to our core sets. Something that's new that just came out, and I have one of the 2 things, and this is the Heroic Defenders supplement, and this is Heroic Efforts pack number 1. And this particular supplement is used to give the heroes a little bit of an advantage when they're playing the game. And this is actually great for low-level characters or small size parties. So you can play this in 2 ways. You can either play the Struggle for Survival, or you can play Up Against the World. So Up Against the World, at the start of every fight, each hero can draw a card and be able to use it. And I'll show some of these in a minute. But once your hero party reaches level 3, you have to graduate to using the next level threats. Instead of low, you have to use mediums, and so on and so forth. And then the Struggle for Survival, low-level heroes are after failing a mission. Every hero that is one or more of the following may draw 1 heroic effort at the start of each adventure. So you have a level 1 hero, or heroes at least 2 heroes lower, basically a hero that's at least 2 levels lower than all the other heroes, and then a hero that failed their last mission. So that second point, it's really kind of cool. If you already have established characters and you have somebody that's maybe new that's coming in and joining, then you can help bring them up to speed. So I think that's really neat. And the way that these work is you have a card and you use it and then you discard them. So here we go. We have the Rally, Heroic Effort. Play at any time to heal 2d6 wounds, sanity, any mix. And there's some flavor text on them. Some of them are in fights, play at any time, prevent all wounds, sanity damage you're about to take. That's pretty neat. Here, won't stay down, play at the start of a turn. If you are KO'd, you may stand back up healing 2d6. Any mix as normal and do not need to roll for an injury madness. If you are the only hero on the board, this card may be played as a revive token for you instead. So just some cool things that you can have in here to help, especially with the lower level characters and smaller parties. The game can be a little bit slanted more towards the game, and the enemies can basically kick your butt. So these kind of give a little bit of an edge to the heroes that way. On the flip side, there is another supplement. I don't have it. It's called Nightmares from Beyond. And it's Ruinous Nightmares, and what that will do is you start, if you can, you draw from that deck, and it just makes things really, really bad. So that's something that, if you don't think that this game is already hard enough, you can ramp up the difficulty that way. All right, so moving on, and I know that I've probably been talking and talking and talking, but there's a few other things that I wanted to talk about for these particular sets. And so we have another thing that we can have while we're playing the game. You know, as you're finding gear and you have items and things like that, there are certain things that will allow you to upgrade your items. And so they have a particular pack of just item upgrades. So you have 15 more cards, and these can be used to attach to certain items to make them better. So for example, here is fur lining. It's an upgrade, and you can attach to any clothing item, and it will at the start of each turn heal 1 sanity or damage, and it's going to require 1 upgrade space. And then they also have the value to them if you choose to sell them. But there are certain ones that have Darkstone on them. So they will add, you know, to your Darkstone, basically for corruption rolls and things like that. But there are a number of things that are in here. You look, you have all these marks: Mark of the Merchant, Mark of Frontier Justice, Divine Redemption, Divine Protection. All of these are Darkstone things, and they have restrictions on them. Those are if you're Holy or Law or Frontier. So just different, essentially, like items that you can upgrade. Adds 15 more cards to shuffle into the gear deck. All right. Now, with these particular sets, and I'll move the Swamps of Death on the top because I'm sure you're sick of looking at the City of Ancients box. But anyways, there are some additional supplements that can be used for these games, in particular for the mines. I don't have any of these, but I'm just going to tell you the titles and what they add. So if you are looking for additional mine encounter cards, so just the encounters that take place in the mines, you've got 2 options. You have the Dark Omens and Blood Money, and they have different themes on them. Blood Money is more like backstabbery, and there's traps, buried treasures, and things like that you may find in those encounters. If you are looking for additional mine artifacts, then you're going to want to look for Treasures of the Void. Additional gear for these 2 things is the Dead Man's Bounty, and then there is like a variety pack called Ghosts of the Damned, and it's going to give you 5 gear, 5 mine artifacts, and 5 mine encounters. And then there's also going to be 2 supplements that add, one of them is called Darkness Rising. It's going to add additional darkness cards, and then you also have the Edge of the Abyss, which is going to give you more Growing Dread cards. So those are all things that you can do to add additional cards to these core sets. You can also combine these 2 core sets to be able to play 6 players, and there is information in the book about combining the core sets. I believe it's in the adventure book. There are 2 final things that I wanted to talk about in terms of cards that can be used to supplement either of these core sets, and these are expeditions, and this is it's basically a different type of card that you can use. So we'll start off with the Badlands expedition, and so it will have this. Here is this adventure card. This is something that's new, and you will place this out, and it will say you can choose to make any mission that starts at the mine entrance map into the Badlands. And here's the modifications. The enemies have +2 health and they get additional damage for every set of Darkstone that you're carrying. So if you're toting around Darkstone, the Badlands is going to be even rougher. Enemies select targets in order of most Darkstone carried. So you have that these particular rules will go into play once you place this out. And then anytime a hero draws one or more loot cards, you also roll a d6. And you take these. The additional rules when you're playing with this game is that there's a new card type, which we played that out. It modifies the mission. Only one of those adventure cards can be in play. And then you have this icon where it says Badlands. And what you can do is, if you choose to play the Badlands, you take all of the adventure cards, and there's actually additional gear that you can get in here. So there's some gear cards, and then when we actually get to the adventure cards, they will have this Badlands icon. What you will do is you'll shuffle these up and you'll put them in a separate stack. And then what you'll do is you will roll a die, and if you roll a 1, 2, or 3, you also not only do you have to draw your regular encounter card, but also you'll take care of your regular encounter card, but then you also have to draw a Badlands encounter card as well. So these are quite challenging, and they're a lot of fun, and it's just a neat thing that you can add to the game for adding more variety, a little bit more difficulty, and all it's doing is just adding one extra layer for things as you're playing the game. So this is for the Badlands expedition. So like I said, there's expedition cards for that. So that's this particular one with looks like it's taking place in the canyons, but it's actually for everything. This is like the Black Fang tribe enemies there. And then the other one we have is the Holy Expedition. And this is another one that is pretty interesting too. It talks about what all you have in there. So it's going to come with some sermon cards for the preacher. So you have 5 new blessings. And you also have, you have 4 blessings and 4 judgment cards. And so here they're in here. So you can mix those in if you'd like. You also have one of these trait cards that you will be able to use. And it's going to be for all of you'll basically put this out. This trait can be applied to any non-enemy undead enemy. The keyword possessed. So they're going to get, if they're unholy, they're basically going to have a benefit against holy heroes. And also, anytime you're wounded by a corrupted enemy, you take a corruption hit. And then there's modifiers too for how much XP you're going to gain. And then you have additional encounter cards that have the unholy icon on there. So you can turn any, if you have at least one holy hero in the party, you can turn any mission into a holy expedition, and then you have your following modifiers. So whenever a hero draws 1 or more encounters, roll a d6 on the roll 3+, also draw 1 unholy encounter. And then it gives you stats for their unholy enemies. But there is one thing here, the Faithful Resolve, whenever a threat card is drawn. Whenever a threat card is drawn, each hero may recover a grit or remove a corruption point. So just another way to supplement the game, to be able to add a little bit more variety to your core sets, and that's just by using a couple of these supplement packs. Now, the best thing to do when shopping for these is when Flying Frog has their sales, because it's usually going to be buy 2 get 1 free. So it comes out to be $20 for 3 supplement sets. That's basically how I go about doing them. I will usually order, 3 supplements, and I think it's like $4 for shipping and stuff like that. So the other thing too, and I guess I'll go ahead and open up this one box, is to add variety to these core sets. is to be able to add additional enemy packs. And so with that, you can pick your poison. I happen to have I have a Darkstone Hydra in here that I got in a trade with some stuff. So let me bring him out of the bag. He looks pretty cool. We've got, this is like an extra large enemy. So there's a little bit more of like that kind of deserty theme, something that you might encounter in the mines and stuff like that. You can go the route of going with the, depending upon what's the theme, what are you looking for in the mines? Do you want to basically, are you thinking maybe you want to have encounters with some outlaws? So you may want to go with like the Scafford gang, and you can get the Scafford gang enemy, that's like a deluxe enemy pack, or the Scafford Highwaymen, or you've got these Darkstone Brutes that you can add. These are actually like some of the Darkstone posse that have been corrupted by Darkstone. You can use basically like the rats, the Scourge rats, different things you can encounter that way if you want to add a little bit more difficulty, like Darkstone Scorpions, things like that. Also, some of the enemies that I mentioned before in fleshing out the Caverns of Cinder, they can also pop up anywhere. You may have Harvesters from Beyond who may have wandered through a portal and they're stuck in the mines. You could have the Tredaran Raiders. You could have the Shikari Nomad Crusaders that are in there. So all sorts of different things. Just basically when it comes down to adding enemy packs to use in your mines, pick your poison. What do you want? And then there's also additional like resin minis that they have, different things that you can add. I think there's like exploding barrels. There are a few other things that are in there that you can add that are they're a little bit on the pricier side, but it's going to give you some things that you can do to further I guess enhance the experience of playing in the Shadows of Brimstone games. So anyways, I hope that this bit of information was helpful to you guys. I wanted to show you some of the things that I have and things that you can do to extend what you can do with the core sets for Shadows of Brimstone. So leave some comments down in the section. What have you added to your base games to enhance the mines? What are some of your favorite card supplements? What are some of your favorite enemy packs? I'm curious to hear what you have to say. Do you, what character? Have you added any additional characters? Have you added the alternate gender sculpts? So just let me know in the description. I'd love to hear from you guys. All right, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye.